This is Jerry Rowe, staff columnist with the News and Record, and I'm with Greensboro Police Chief Ken Miller, and we're talking about the recent report from the beloved community center that calls into question the Greensboro Police Department. Chief, you've read the report.
I have.
Your thoughts?
Well, I think the report is factually inaccurate, and it's I think, to certain members of the community and to, I think, the police department, it can be inflammatory and perceived inflammatory, and it can certainly hurt our relationships with the communities we serve, and particularly communities of color. We've worked very, very hard to improve our relationships throughout our community, throughout Greensboro, and I think we've done a great job doing that. I will never say that work is ever done, because it's something we always work together on to find ways to improve our relationships. But at the same time, this document is, I think, it's irresponsible, it's inaccurate, and they have many, many, many facts incorrect.
Race has always been a part of the city's history going back for decades. What have you done to improve race relations within the department to kind of understand the whole community and that sort of thing, as well as educate your officers?
Yeah, we have done a number of things to tweak our internal systems and to promote our community outreach in a different way. And we have really focused on partnerships to get our job done. Those partnerships bring people into the police department and put our officers into the community to really develop the kinds of relationships to make our city safer. So whether it's the teen dating, the no hating and dating partnership that we had with so many organizations that was held about a year ago over at the International Civil Rights Museum, or whether it's Operation Yuletide, or whether it's the Midnight Basketball and some of our youth outreach programs, or whether it's just reaching out and connecting better with community organizations and being more responsive to their needs and concerns, and engaging them more in the process of promoting safety in their own communities. I think we have done a good job doing that. I think that work is never done for police department, though.
What about, you mentioned about this survey that's going to come out soon, these results, what have you found with that survey?
Well, there were a lot of people who wanted to say what we were and how we were perceived when I first arrived in September 2010, and so commissioned a marketing company to conduct a survey that would give us defensible results one way or the other, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, about the police department and how it's perceived overall in Greensboro, and then within each of the geographic patrol divisions, so Central, Eastern, Southern, and Western patrol divisions. And the results were pretty favorable. They were a lot more favorable than I think the perceptions were being communicated back 2 years ago, and that was that we had a 70% approval rating of the GPD. And when you think about the work that we're doing, I think that 70% isn't bad. It's not where I wanted it to be, but it isn't bad. And given all that it had been through in the prior several years, I felt pretty good about that. People felt that the GPD was making their community safer, and we're getting preliminary results back in now. We should have a report in the next few weeks, but that approval rating went up to 80%. So we've jumped 10 points. The negative rating dropped from 13% to 6%. So that tells me that we're making significant progress. For a police department to be able to hit an 80% approval rating with community satisfaction, I think is pretty important, and every segment of our community has to be involved in that.
When you talk about the statistics, and then you see this report talks about perception, specifically it talks about that the Greensboro PD operates and has a subculture of racism and corruption and double standards. Two questions. Your take on that, and second thing, what have you seen since you've been here for 3 years?
Well, again, I think that it's inaccurate. It's an inaccurate depiction. Those are inflammatory words, really, and they're designed to strike a nerve, and that has not been my experience. My experience here is that our officers are appreciated, and inside the organization, I work with men and women I'm proud to serve with. They are hardworking. They are trying to make our city safer, and I think they are making our city safer. We may have an individual who steps outside the expectations of the organization, and we have very defined expectations. We discipline and address those issues. We adjust our training. We adjust our policies, but there is no culture or subculture within this organization. I have not experienced it, and I will tell you that there have been a lot of outside eyes on this organization over the past 5 years. You have Carol Buracker with his report, and a very extensive report. You have City Manager Young, who is from outside. You have City Manager Roth, who's from outside the organization. You had Assistant City Manager Mike Speedling, who's outside the organization. And you have me. All of these folks are from outside the organization, and we've all had extensive interactions with and review of this organization's, its operating practices, and we also had CALEA come in and look at us and reaccredit us with a meritorious rating in August of 2011. And then we have had DOJ, who has, one, refused to open an investigation into the police department, which speaks volumes in and of itself, and two, they sent a representative here to interview members of the city manager's office, the police department, and the community, and they took away no findings or suggestions other than continued conversation.
This report is out there. How do you deal with it? You're the head of the police force, the part of the backbone of our city as City Manager Dean's.
Well, you kind of have to take this almost day by day and connect with people and groups who have questions about it and speak about the inaccuracies in the report and talk about the things that we're doing that are right, and that's what we intend to do. I don't think that this report has created some groundswell of outcry. It's been out there for 2 months now, and I think if it had, it would have already. But that doesn't mean that some people aren't concerned. So for those people who are concerned, we're happy to sit down and meet. It's a lot of extra work. It does create a lot of extra work that can be distracting from the work that we're doing, but it's important work to address it, I think, in the proper context and to address specific questions that people may have.
So how will you look to address this report? Some of the things that came out of this report, whether it be police review
or
whatever.
I think that we're still strategizing here internally, but I have already had conversations with individuals myself independently of group conversations or some sort of a public document.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how does this whole thing affect the department, if at all? Something like this that comes up?
Well, it's my job to try and make it have as little impact as possible on the operations of the organization and the morale of the organization in terms of how it functions and gets its work done. So we have communicated up and down the chain of command. I've communicated directly with individuals about the document, what it means, and what I'm doing to address it, and most of this has been shouldered by me. I've tried to keep the rest of the organization out of it.
So how do you deal with something like this, that criticizes the department that you run?
Well, I don't like it because I think the department is a department that operates with a great degree of integrity, and at the end of the day, your character is your character, and your integrity is your integrity, and it questions my integrity, and my integrity has never been in question. So, I will tell you that it disturbs me because there are 783 individuals in the Greensboro Police Department, sworn and non-sworn alike, who work very, very hard to make our city safer, who work very, very hard to make their community proud of them and proud of their police department. And you continue to have people, very few people, I think, who sit on the sidelines and are constantly throwing grenades at the PD.
So how do you stop those grenades being thrown?
I don't know that we can ever stop it.
Chief Miller, thank you.